Mama, I love you. We can. All right. Good morning and happy Thursday. I am Elena with WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. Your Health Vibes with Elena. And I'm Elena, host of Your Health Vibes with Elena. My journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to the next level so you can transform your life today. And today, you can reach me at ef11ca@gmail.com. My number is 562-235-8410 or yourhealthvibes.com. And today, our topic is the confidence code, decoding comfort zones and powering up. What? And now, we have the one, the only, my soul sister, Vesta Hager. Come on down.
Oh I love it.
Thank you so much for being here. My heart is so happy to have you on the show today. I love you. And world, let's know what Vesta is about.
Hello, everyone. I am so honored to be here today. As you see, I am a podcast host. It's new for me to getting back in this year of being a guest, and I'm super excited to reach more people who want to level up their lives, who want to move out of where they are to the exciting world of what's next. It's exciting to me and Elena, but a lot of people, it's very scary to think about what they want to do and what's next. So it's really important for me that you get the information you need to break the binds that hold you in those spaces that aren't serving you in the life you have today. So I'm excited to be here today and talk about how we can build up that confidence and move into that what's next that really lets you follow your passion, whether you want to reach more people, whether you want to write a book or you want to start to be a speaker, whatever it is, I want to be there for you. And I really want to be able to help you decode that.
And she is definitely the woman to do this. Now, Vesta, I would like to just share with the world, maybe we can share how we connected and how I feel so blessed and honored to have you in my life. Do you want to tell the story?
I think we'll take turns.
Turns. We can take turns giving a few little of our storyline.
So for Polka Dot Powerhouse, I know that Elena's probably mentioned that before. We both were at Celebration, which is an annual event that rotates every other year, but it's every other year is in Minneapolis. And it was my first time going, and I was yours too. And it was nervous, because I didn't have really anybody in my core group going from North Idaho. It was 2 people in leadership, and they were in meetings most of the time before I got there. And so it was really just little old me floating around. I did get to meet the lower Idahoans. There was a big group of them that came from the what's that called? I can't remember that chapter. But anyway, so Treasure Valley, I think it's called. And so they were really welcoming, but I was kind of just floating alone. So on the first day that we really were going into the room, we stopped in this specialty room where there's food and stuff if you have like a certain level, whatever. And that's a funny story too. Yeah, the club. Because what's funny is my husband had been with whatever it was it Marriott or something?
Yeah.
And then, how they always change like the level or the rule, right? Mm-hmm. So we get there and I'm complimenting the lady checking me in. She upgraded my room for us because I was traveling now with my husband and not a girlfriend. And so she's like, oh, I just love this. I love that about you. I love your energy. And I'm like, I love this. I love that. So when we came back to check on that, they're like, oh, well, it used to be that, but now it's this. But I just loved your wife so much, I'm upgrading you anyway. So, the point of that, right. But I think that's when you really want to be, the more authentic you can be in all your interactions, the more beneficial. So because she liked me, we had that entrance, which is how I met you. So tell me what you saw.
And 2, it's how you communicate. If you're like, oh, I want that, it's all how you present yourself. And I think it's, you're not expecting something you don't. It's just treating someone with respect, acknowledging them and not having these expectations. And when you show up authentically, asking for what you want, your needs are met because you're true and authentic. So we're in this M Club little like snacky area. And P.S. I love snacks. So we were snacking it up and I saw this awesome woman in the corner with her husband. I was like, who is that? And her outfit. And she was just styling. And I was like, I wonder if she's a polka dot. So I went over and I was like, hey, girl, hey, what you doing over here? Nobody puts baby in the corner. And
I love that.
one thing led to another. She was a polka dot. And we just instantly hit it off. It was like we were already friends from the past, someone that I just love. And, you never know. You put yourself out there. And I think this is why we connect so well. We could talk to anybody anywhere, but it's actually doing it. It's not being afraid. It's showing up. And so many times we're afraid to do something, but now that we actually had that conversation, it's so amazing. And I feel so blessed to have you in my life because I would have never known you and would have had this opportunity to be here with you today.
I agree. I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. And I had intention. My intention when I was signing up for the event was completely different. And a lot of things had changed before, but since I'd already paid for it, I was like, well, I'm going anyway. And then my husband's from Minnesota, so he's like, well, I'll just come with you. We can burn a companion ticket that we're going to lose, and I'll just go and visit my family while you're doing your, doc stuff. So it worked out for us on both levels, but just the way you were exactly how I would be if I saw someone like that. And that's what was so beautiful. And I probably, because my husband was with me that first time,
Mhm.
they don't appreciate the way that we are sometimes. So I
Yes.
couldn't have really done it the other way. So you doing it was perfect. And it really just pulled me in. You guys were so amazing to pull me into your group. The Southern California group just welcomed me and it was amazing. So there's one thing that's one code breaker, right? For your confidence is to really go for it. And I know people say fake it till you make it, but it is kind of true in the sense that if you want to make those connections, if you want to be bold enough, when you see someone that could make a difference in your life or your business, let's say, I remember a TV show and the girl was making cupcakes and she saw Martha Stewart. She's like, I'm going to give her a cupcake. Like she like put it in her purse and crashed a party. So when you see those opportunities, it's just believing enough in yourself to go forward with that. And I have always been like that. Elena and I think came
Yes.
out like that. But I'm really focused this year, and I'm terrible at that because I have like a million things going all the time. But I'm trying to focus really on confidence for my clients on
Mhm.
our podcast, my clients that I'm working with to pursue their dreams, whatever that is. I have a lot of book clients that I'm getting ready to bring on board. So whatever it is, it's just embracing that. And I've noticed such a huge shift in energy, and I wanted to see. I know that we both had some exciting things we're trying to work on this year. So how important is it to you with that confidence link for that energy and intention that you're putting forward?
Well, having that confidence and believing yourself, you have to embody it and believing that you're already there and showing up for it. And I think it's so many times we put this pressure and I think my biggest thing, I could be a cheerleader for everybody else. We need to show up and be that cheerleader of confidence
Yeah.
for ourselves. And it's so hard, but it's doing just little things, changing different habits. And what I always say, because my show, Your Health Vibes, it's what vibe you want to give. It's not
Yep.
changing yourself. It's having that confidence, pushing yourself a little bit more, talking to that person that you didn't think you could talk to, connecting with that person and showing up. How would you want to show up? Or, I know we always say, but how would you talk to your little self? How would you want little Vesta to show up for herself and have that confidence so that you can be the woman that you are today?
Exactly. And I love what you just said because I think so many of us tell ourselves stories that we told ourselves years ago and they've stuck with us and we still believe that story, even though we're completely different women, especially if you're at that age where I kind of zone in on in my podcast is, over 40 and your kids are almost out or they're gone or you're getting ready to retire a little bit later, or maybe you've had a surprise, a widowhood or a divorce and you have this opportunity for the first time in your life to focus on yourself, which most
Yes.
of us have never done, let
No.
alone done in the last 20 years of our lives. So being able to say, this is my time and setting those boundaries is really important. And we have a few episodes on our podcast for that because it's really important that not only you're clear about the boundary, but that you respect it for yourself because we're the most likely ones to destroy the boundary. It's like on Thursday night, I'm going to this. And then Thursday comes, oh, mom, I don't want to make dinner tonight, or I don't. And then we just throw aside our dreams or, and stay home and make dinner or whatever. So I was very clear when I started to reestablish those boundaries. I did it when the kids were in middle school and up and said, I'm no longer doing your laundry. I will show you how. This is your responsibility. You're going to start cooking dinner once a week. You can make the same thing every week. I don't care because I'm not here anyway. But you're
Right.
going to start cooking and understanding the process of preparing taking things out of the freezer, stopping at the store, and building those skills. So it's really important for people listening to recognize
Mhm.
that it's okay for us to make ourselves the star
And
of our own movie.
building up the confidence, and oh, so my sister, thanks, Steph. She says, you're right. You have to be your own cheerleader first. And that's so true. And once you can be that cheerleader and show up for yourself, then you can show up for someone else. But I love that how you can coach and, guide your children or just even people in general to do something, exactly learning to do the laundry, learning to do it and not being it a chore, or not showing up for yourself, showing how to take care of yourself and not relying on someone else.
Exactly. I
And
always told them, I'm like, you need to be the best roommate and spouse later that you can. And that's about knowing how to do these things, cleaning the bathroom, doing your laundry, owning your own time and responsibility. I'm not going to wake you up anymore. Like if you can't get up and make it to school, that's on you, and
right,
just taking that sense that you have to be responsible for yourself. And that isn't just for kids. That's what I want to say is like a lot of times we set that aside. And I'm all about being the leading lady in your own life. You were literally born to play the role of the lead in your own life movie. So stop giving that away to these other people or child actors. The
right.
movie was, or the show was started out named you, and now you're like down there as like laundress, guest appearance. So it's like really taking that time. And that's what I focus on right now is just women really deciding, my platform is dream, decide, do. Let's figure out what excites you in your dream, decide you're going to do it, which is the shortest but the hardest. And
Right.
then everyone has excuses, right? And
Yes.
then go for it and start doing the action. So I'm an action coach. You're going to come out with stuff to do, and I'm going to hold you accountable. But it's beautiful to see the progress that people make because everyone will
Right.
have an excuse on
Yeah.
why not.
And actions speak much louder than words. And I think too, we discussed this the other day, would kind of like to bring it up. You have a choice, and you have a choice of how you want to show up. And my mom always says that. I think I say that on almost all my episodes. Thanks, Deb, for this. Is you have a choice how you want to choose to show up, how you want to be who you are. And you made a really good statement of talking about like failure and showing up, and we put these things, good, bad, failing or not. But what was that quote that you were saying the other day about when you're showing up and doing things, um, failure,
Oh, so
you know
yes, that was a good one, huh? So, you're not, if you're trying to do something and you fail, you're only a failure if you stop trying. So it's when you stop trying that you actually fail. Otherwise, you're just learning, right? So to me, that being fear of failure is no reason to stop. It's something you just need to embrace. To me, in fact, we had a conversation in one of my groups. What does fear mean to you? And I was like, it's life going, I challenge you. To me, when
right.
those fears show up, it's the place I need to go and
Hmm.
to conquer those, not to avoid that. And
Right.
I think that that's where we really have a shift in our mindset and our confidence. So if you
Definitely.
see something that you feel like I really want to, and you fill in the blank, listener, right? Have the best dahlia at the state fair, win the quilting contest, write a book, be a speaker, whatever it is. It's that first initial pushback of fear that gets you. No one
Right.
likes to public speak, right? I love it. Elena probably loves it, but for most people, it's their biggest fear, right? So
Right.
find those people that you can mirror, that you can sort of get their confidence to rub off on you. I always
Right.
believe that confidence is contagious, and me believing in you or whoever we're working with already increases their confidence, right?
Definitely.
So it's just really about taking those chances and don't
Yeah.
be afraid to fail. Be afraid to not do anything and not get off your couch of comfort, right? In your zone.
Exactly. So let's take a quote. Thanks, Dad. My dad says he totally agrees with my sister and me, Dad. No, I'm just kidding. Um, you have to be your own cheerleader. It makes all the difference. I've had to really get my confidence up lately because my mom, so his wife, my Deb, broke her wrist, and he is cooking now. So I'm so proud of my dad. My dad and his confidence hasn't always been the cook. My mom is an amazing cook. He actually has embraced it. He's cooked for the past 4 weeks. He's done homemade chicken noodle soup from scratch. He has done all these things, and I'm so proud. He got out of his comfort zone, and his confidence is high. Now he can't just make his French toast. So he said, Dad can now be soup chef and do everything else. So I'm really proud of him. And he's always been, my parents have been always such a big cheerleader. And you know what? I was a cheerleader in high school, and so was he. So that was fun.
That is so cute. Well, yeah, I want to say it right, challah bread. I had been
Yes.
resisting like working with yeast, and my daughter was like, we want to make bread, and she tried a couple times, and so I'm like, I used to make bread. Let's try it. So my first one was perfect. It rose perfectly. It was huge,
Yeah.
and now I've been experimenting with playing with the flours to help my gluten-free daughter. So I've been like replacing a cup here and trying to figure out the new, mastery of it. But it was so rewarding to see that second rise and to see it go in the
Right.
oven. And I just think that there's always opportunities to expand. And for people who are having confidence issues, start small. You don't have to be Elaine and I, who can literally talk to anyone. I literally just picked up a client at the Buffalo Wild Wings. We were both there for lunch. We started talking across the table, and all of a sudden he's like, and I don't usually work with men specifically, but he's like, I need to write a book. I'm like, I just happen to do that, you
Yeah.
know. So I think that's when you're again radiating, which Elena and I are like natural radiators of light and happiness, but you can be too. And it's about learning to open up and just be more authentic every day in every action. And also just be focused on what it is you want to attract. I'm big on attracting. I think it's so important that that vibe you're putting out there. And this year I made a concerted effort to change even higher my light, my shine, my reach, and it's been incredible. And I think that's what I want your listeners to understand is, you have the power to amp up the wattage of what you're putting out there. And it can just be focused on one particular aspect, but it can make a huge difference in the connections that you make.
Right. Now, let me ask you, I don't know if you mind telling, so real fast, my mom just popped up too this is from mom. She says, Elena, you also made chicken soup with mom. Also, failure are just steps getting to the finished product. Ooh, that's really great, mom. I really like that. And I do agree. And I so appreciate you because she has helped me get the confidence of cooking because my mom, I'm going to give her a shout, is one of the best cooks out there. And I've always said I don't care for cooking, but I have to say my confidence has been lifted because that I had my mom help, but then when I showed Tony, my boyfriend, the soup, and I gave other people, they're like, wow, this is so good. And I never thought that I would put myself out there to do that and cook and have that confidence. But just trying it, getting out of my comfort zone, I did it. And I'm so proud of myself. And now I want to do more. And now cooking gives me a little bit more of excitement than what it was.
I agree. I don't love cooking, but I prefer baking, I guess. But I just really feel that just trying those, like when that bread came out so perfect, go check my Facebook page. You'll see it a couple posts down. I just got bolder about how to continue doing those things. So even in areas where maybe you dabbled before and you didn't feel confident, so you stopped. Like my daughter, she could not get her yeast to rise, so everything was failing. And I finally stopped to see what she was doing, and I realized we have a hot water tap, so she was just using the hot water tap. Well, it was killing the yeast every time, right? Because it's too hot. So then once I showed her that, and it's like, okay, now we're going to work on this. And so I think it's those little steps. And again, being open. So if you have something you really are pursuing, and it's like the Prius effect, right? When you put
Yeah.
the idea out, you never see a yellow car, you never see a Prius, and then you see them everywhere, right?
You're going to see it every
So, and there's an official name, but I know the generic one is like the Prius effect. My daughter has a yellow car. So once I see everywhere I go, if I see yellow car, I'm thinking her, right? And there's not a lot of yellow cars, right?
have a
But
yellow
I
dress
think,
on today. Go figure.
yes, and it's like that color yellow. So I think it's my encouragement is that you really want to just think about where you want to be. I'm always forward thinking. I live in the moment, Avi, because that's how we are. But
I love
thinking about what I want to. In fact, I ran a workshop earlier in the month. Oh, I guess last month. And I said, let's talk about December 31st, 2024. What do I want to be celebrating that day? And let's re-engineer it back. And it was very different than goal setting forward for my
right.
people in the workshop. They were like, and I made a little worksheet for like brainstorming, and then there was a front side where they were putting what they wanted and timelines and how it made them feel. Because how we feel about what we're pursuing is what we're putting out in the universe.
Right.
And
Definitely.
it was amazing.
That's great. I want to give a shout out to Delaney. She says, I love that something as simple as cooking can bring you this confidence. Thanks for sharing that example. Thank you. And she says, confidence can be scary. So thank you for making it less scary. I appreciate you, Delaney, and thank you for how you show up in the world and all that you do. It makes the world a better place.
So I want one more share for about when you start to amp up your confidence, when you start to trust where you want to go, when you start to believe that the things you want to achieve are possible, you are more aware of the opportunities. I feel like the universe, God, whatever your influx of energy comes from, it's trying to help you. And there's so many of us that are just ignoring those doors, and the door is closed. So go through the window, find a way to open the door, take it off the hinges, right?
Why
And
do
I
you
think
think
so much.
we ignore that? Why do you think people ignore those things? Or is it a story they're telling themselves or something? Maybe we can elaborate a little bit more of why are we ignoring something
Yeah,
to better ourselves?
I think it's that fear, like leaving. So if I see or hear something, and I'll tell the story in a minute. It's if I don't believe that they would want to talk to me or they would want to engage or any story I'm telling myself in the past, maybe you tried once 10 years ago and it didn't work. And so you're afraid to try again. Those are the things that are limiting us, and that's keeping us in that comfort zone where we feel safe, right?
Mhm.
So when
Yeah.
you see that, if you're listening and you're like, I really want to, again, I'm just going to use write a book because a lot of people want to write a book. So
Yeah.
if you're afraid to start and you don't know where to start, well, there's people like me, a book coach that can help get you going. I call myself an inception book coach because I believe that getting that idea on paper is how we get it into the world, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I'm all about the strategy around getting it out of you and on paper, right? But if there's something like that and I tried to write a book years ago and I just wrote a few notes and then nothing happened. Yeah, because accountability is huge. And if you didn't have anyone to hold you accountable, obviously a problem. Because if you don't have to turn something in, you're probably never going to write it, right? If you had an essay due for high school and you never had a due date, you're probably not going to do it.
And
And
you don't
also,
have to do it alone.
and it's important that accountability buddy is someone that's actually vested in you completing it. If your
Mhm.
accountability buddy is your buddy, your friend down the street, they're going to let you slide. Oh, I was so
Right.
busy today. I didn't feel like it. Oh, I get it. No problem. That's not how you get 10 pages a week, to
Yeah.
get 100 pages in 3 months, to have enough pages to be on Amazon, right? To have a back cover, I mean. So if you want to have a book with a back cover, 100 pages minimum. So it's those kinds of things that you don't know. And that's when you need coaches or people in your life to help you. And but just for yourself, knowing that's one thing, right? But
Mhm.
looking for those opportunities and being open to it. I feel like so many people, and I want Elena to answer too. I feel like so many people have these things come to them and they don't recognize them. It's like that joke where the man is in a flooded city and he's on top of the roof and a boat comes and he says, "No, I'm waiting for, to be saved." And then a helicopter comes, he's like, "No, no." And then when he dies, he's like, "Why didn't you save me?" And God's like, "I sent you a boat and a right." And so I feel like sometimes we're blind to that opportunity.
Mhm. And I think it's because those, so my dad says that is why we have five senses. If one doesn't work, use another. Use all of them to make something great. Very true. And I think exactly if one way doesn't work, then do another. I think we write these stories or, we have these things in our head of a way that we have to show up and do. And then we put those blinders on because we don't think that we can accomplish it. But what it is, getting out of your comfort zone, do something that you wouldn't do, reach out to that person or even exactly what you say. You met someone at the Wildlings. I joke like whenever I fly, they're like, of course Elena met a new best friend. You never know who you're going to meet and you never know what's going to happen. If I didn't talk to Vesta, then we would have not been together. I would have just always thought like, oh, who's that lady that I never said hi to? And now look at us, like we can't live without each other.
I believe that I would have found you sometime during the weekend. I have to believe in that. We were meant to be friends. Um,
Yeah.
that's again, it's being open to those opportunities. So as I was explaining earlier, so I have a book that I've always wanted to be a movie, a middle grade book for PTSD, soldier military families. And I have tried to work with the Department of Defense, and it keeps getting lost somewhere in there. So finally said, I'm taking this back. So I'm at a meeting early for a meeting with a book client, and I hear the guy next to me at this coffee shop talking about movies. So I'm like, dum 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 dum. I walk over. I'm like, hey, you know. So it's just about, and now I'm meeting with a director today. So
Amazing.
me being open to just asking this man what he was interested in. I wasn't talking about me at first. I'm like, what do you do? Tell me all about it, right? It's about showing that mutual interest. And then I asked for his information, but I was so busy earlier, end of last week, I forgot, I hadn't got to him. And then he sends me a link saying, I've got you, the director I want you to meet. Can you meet with us? So if your energy's up high enough, if you're believing in the opportunities that are out there, it will find you. And if you're willing to take those chances, like I ask everyone I've met, do you know Josh Duhamel? Everyone, whether they have any connection to North Dakota or acting, because in my mind, he's the main father character in my book. I've
Yeah.
always had him in there. So I'm like, do you know Josh Duhamel? I will keep asking until someone says yes, right? So it's funny, people are like, no. I'm like, okay, but I've got adjacent. I'm like, oh, I know someone who does the tequila he sells. Like, so I'm like working my way, right? So it's about being bold enough to not only listen to what's around you, but also to take those moments. And I'm sure Elena has lots of those moments.
That too. And just, showing up for yourself.
Laughing. You're making me laugh.
And I have a question. So have you always been like this? What was something, when you were little or, a different experience? Because, I know too, for myself, I've always wanted to like reach out to people, love on people and show that confidence. But, I've had times where I felt defeated or, down. Of what changes that? What makes that shift make you want to power up and level up and to get out of your comfort zone? Was there someone in your life or, you just felt like, I really truly made to make that change?
I think, and it's funny because I was just thinking about this when we spoke the other day. So if I think back to even my early years, there was never that so much embarrassment about speaking. So I remember I was like 5 years old. We were in Hawaii. My grandmother used to live there. And there was this huge outdoor, it's not an auditorium. What do you call it when they're outdoor?
Well,
Like the LA Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's this
I know
huge
what you mean.
outdoor stage.
Yeah.
And it'll come to me sometime later. And
Yeah.
I cannot really sing very well. I do write songs and I love being part of music, but I can't really sing that great. But I remember going down and standing on this stage in this park and just singing probably like national anthem or some Mary Had a Little Lamb, who knows. But even to this day, I remember that feeling up on stage and connecting with people. So I've always been a connector. When I would go to a new school, I'm connecting. And I was new a lot. So it gave me an opportunity to really hone those skills because no one knew me. So I was
Right.
like, oh, here, I'm going to be extremely bold because no one knows that I'm not bold. Or this place, I'm going to be really, sweet and try this one. And so, having that time to experiment, I think a lot of people, I think it's probably, I would guess half and half. A lot of people never left the school system they were in and knew their friends the whole time. And then
Right.
there's the other group that moved every few years, right?
Yeah.
And the people that moved every few years had an opportunity. Not everyone takes it,
Yeah.
but they have an opportunity to really become excellent at hearing and connecting with people because you get to be new and you get to experience that. There's no established like, oh, back in kindergarten you did this, right? You ate paste, so that's your name forever or whatever. And so I feel like that's some people close up in those new places and they don't explore it and they didn't. And that's the same as the place you're in as an adult. You, even if you're in a job that you do well, but you are locked into how they see you, right? But you have the chance to say, you know what? I know I used to say I never wanted to be a leader or on stage or go to the quarterly meetings, but I want to do that now.
Right.
And the people are going to be surprised.
You have that
What?
choice. And I think that too. I've always been a connector. My parents always said I used to go up to people and just hug on, and show the love and not be afraid. And always had a voice, talking to everybody, even like, my goodbyes would take forever in general, and Tony is always like, Elena, come on, like you got to say goodbyes an hour ahead, but it's just, I think, acknowledging people, putting yourself out there and, also putting yourself in someone else's shoes, like thinking like you've been there, showing up new, you're new to here, you're new to there, and including others. Because I think so many times we already have that friend or that group, and then people don't want to let in because they're afraid of that. But letting in others, I think the more the merrier, I think always including, and I've always been that type of person that nobody's left behind. You see someone and whatnot, because I think so many times when we have that core group, we're afraid to open it up, but by not opening up, then we miss the opportunity to embrace someone else, and you never know what they have to offer to the group.
Exactly. So for those of you listening who are like, I'm not confident enough to go up to someone that I don't know, or my first when I work with clients who are working on that confidence of interpersonal or direct communication, I give them a simple task so your listeners can have it, and it is to compliment 3 people a day, random
Love
people that you
that.
see when you're out and about, which you and I probably do all the time anyway,
I do
right?
all the time. I was just gonna say that that's like one of my favorite things to do is
But
give
for
a
a lot
compliment,
of people, they're like, they're going to think I'm weird. And I always tell them, first of all, no one is going to be mad that you gave them a compliment.
right?
If you make it awkward, it's on you because they are going to be thrilled that someone saw them,
Makes
right?
sense, exactly, just being acknowledged, and I love that you said exactly, compliments are the best thing, and it's so hard to receive it, but when you do, it's, like, so genuine, and I think what is your best advice, to receive a compliment? What to receive?
Yeah. I was going to say that. So a lot of times we feel like when we are given a compliment, we have to give a compliment because we feel
Mhm,
like it's fair. But it's okay for you to say thank you so much for noticing my outfit or my hair
mhm,
or and I try to focus in on something about the person that isn't outside their control, like what they're wearing or whatever. I'll often say, I love your smile. Like I was in
mhm.
Target and this lady was buying crackers and she wasn't dressed like anything fancy. She was just like whatever, and I could tell just by her, if you will allow me the word aura, I could just tell she was just sort of like, here. And
Yeah,
I said, I saw her turn a little bit and I said, I just wanted to tell you that your smile just lights up. It was just so amazing. And immediately her energy is vibrating, her shoulders are back. I mean, it just gives such a positive feeling that, secretly we kind of get a little bump too because we feel good. We
yes,
help someone else. But we're
yes.
not doing it for that reason. So when you are given a compliment like that, just thank the person and accept it. You don't have to say, oh, and I like your shirt. Because not only, I mean, it's probably true because we always look fly, but
Right.
it's not necessary to give that back, right? It's just you
Right,
can
we don't need to
accept. I
vomit
mean,
it out something else because of that. I wanna say that to the listeners. I dare you guys to take on and blah, 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 blah. I've had so much I wanna say because I got so excited. Okay. I dare you guys to compliment what Vesta said, someone, 3 people for 1 week straight, and
yep.
report back to us, if you can, how you felt after that. My dad said, talk about confidence. My mom has taken on something that is not easy, and especially for her. She's chairing the 100-year gala at her temple, and that is pretty amazing. It's more than amazing to take on something like that. So proud of you, mom. Way to show up. It's her stepping out of her comfort zone, doing something, she may have not done or whatnot, but it's showing up for herself and doing something that she wouldn't think she could do. So great job.
I'm really proud of you too. I can't wait to meet you, other mom and dad.
Yes.
And I think that that's just those steps. And a lot of times you're offered, like we said, people say, "Do you want to be on this?" And you're like, "No." So remember, sometimes people see things in you that you don't see. So being
Mhm.
able, and I'm not saying say yes to everything, but say
Right.
yes to things that feel like they're moving you in the right direction. And also
That
with the
lights you up.
compliments, yeah, that lift you up. And try to think about people that probably don't get a lot of compliments. So I always try to focus on at least one guy or one man a day when I'm complimenting because they don't get a lot of confident
No.
or compliments. Like bros are like, "Hey, dude, I like your shoes." I mean, that doesn't
Yeah.
really happen, right? So if I notice someone who's gone that extra mile, especially the older gents who have their little cap, their little hat on, I'm like, "You are
That's
looking
that's
sharp
my
today."
jam. I work with that population.
Yeah, it's like you're looking sharp today. You're looking dapper, and you see them just feel a little bit better too. So I really look for those opportunities because, as Elena said before, you never know what that person is going through, and your compliment may be something that changes thoughts that they were having that maybe weren't very good for them or negative
Mhm.
self-talk that they've been having. And so that moment of being seen is just amazing. And I think it's something that we can lean into. I mean, you and I do it naturally. I've also had people like pay for my coffee before I got off there or pay my toll at a toll booth and I try to do the same thing back. Really be thoughtful with the people in your life, and especially if you're reaching out to encourage people. And like I said, I mean, meeting this gentleman, I don't usually work with male males who want to write a book. But
Right.
his story was so amazing. In fact, we just had dinner with him last night. I introduced him to my parents because he's a little bit
Oh,
older than me. And I'm like, hey, my parents are like longevity and all their friends keep dying. So I'm like, Mom, we have to start in the 60s now. We have to find some youngsters for you. And so we did. And it was amazing to just have this person who was so grateful to be, he's newly in our area. So he was so grateful to be brought into a nice family that was welcoming him. And he was just so moved by that. But that's just how I am. And I think, you and I both kind of talked a little bit about how like our significant others will be like literally on a plane. My husband has texted me and say, stop talking to the people
yeah.
behind us.
Tony,
No.
Tony does that
I'm
too.
like,
I
what?
live between you, but
That's why I can't wait for them to meet. Maybe we don't want them to meet. No sharing tips. But like the
yes.
guy behind us was going to our hometown. And so I was like, hey, have you been here? I used to be an event planner for one of our large resorts. So I'm like, you need to go here. You need to go here. And so he was writing it all down. Like he wanted the information.
Right.
And I think you and I are both authentic enough that we can tell if someone doesn't want to have that conversation, which is
Yeah.
almost never anybody because everyone loves us. But I think it's about being that way naturally. And it's funny when we have these spouses that are kind of like the opposite. Let's see what your sister has to say.
So Steph says, I love that. Not only does complimenting help your confidence, it without a doubt makes people feel good. You can make someone's whole day. You can make someone's life. And I so agree. Like, I don't do it because I want something in return or, to be like, oh, look at me. I truly, genuinely show up authentically. And I think too, sometimes, yeah, with males, I'll be like, I love your eyes or this. And I was like, I don't want to hit on you. I don't like you. I'm just actually complimenting something about you. And I think
Right.
it's so funny is that it goes to such other things that people can't just stop and be like, wow, like, thank you, and acknowledging that. So I think with that, another not challenge, another dare is just saying thank you. Don't compliment back. Don't, I think work on something of, a different thing of how you want to show up. Not saying there's no good, there's no bad. You do it how you want. You show up authentically, whatever vibe. But I think that could be a fun dare is, complimenting someone, or if someone compliments you, receiving. We have
Yes.
such a hard time to receive and getting out of our comfort zone of that.
Well, I want to talk to that because especially women, someone will say, I love your, like I have on my hearts today.
I love it.
And I have heart earrings, little heart earrings. And so people will say something and your first instinct for most women is to say, oh, that's just an old thing I got last year. Or they just put it down immediately. So I love what you said. And I meant to touch on it. So I'm glad you brought us back. It's just saying thank you, owning it. And I think that there's it's so hard for us to do that, but it's so important because you negating the compliment negates their joy in giving it to you. So you're really doing it for them by saying thank you and letting them have their little moment. And then you can then reflect on, hey, I dressed nice today, or I felt great today, and it's about just knowing what will bring you that joy. So I'm going to start a new role in helping a company get some stuff up and running. And everyone I've met wears like yoga pants and a zip up sweatshirt. Like that is not me. Like I don't even leave the house. Like
that is so not true.
No. And so I'm like, okay, I can maybe wear, I don't even wear tennis shoes unless I'm going to the gym, right? But I do have some like DKNY and some Coach I'm like, okay, I will try, but I'm still going to be elevated because I don't know how to do the other, right? And so I'm actually this week, I'm going to a store here to buy like leisure wear that's like a little bit elevated because I'm not going to this job wearing my workout pants from the gym, right?
Right.
But
You feel good in.
Right. And I don't want to be like uppity where I'm like in my nice clothes and making them feel bad, And I don't really normally think that way, but since everyone I've seen, even the owner, was wearing those kind of clothes, it's obviously their culture, and I don't want to be insulting to that. So I'm willing to kind of like meet them halfway.
Right.
And I will have to do things, like when you have to move. So it's important, but doing those things even in your own way. Oh, sorry. I know that Dad has something to say.
Dad said, you have said it. It's okay to change the path if the other one is not working. That's from Mom and Dad. And so, and I agree with that. And we're going to have to kind of start to close up here. So I just wanted to say this has been just an amazing podcast. My heart is so full, sister. Also, just want to give a shout out again to the Polka Dot Powerhouse, and just also Shannon for creating this special, amazing sisterhood. Without this, I wouldn't be on my podcast. I wouldn't have met Vesta, and my confidence and who I am as a woman makes me want to be a better woman because of this. And anybody out there who wants to up your confidence, come talk to us, because you can become our dot sister as well.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to thank everybody today. My name is Elana, and I am with Your Health Vibes. And you can reach me at Elana, EF11CA@gmail.com. My number is 562-235-8410. And just wanted to thank this network at new streaming network, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio, TV, podcast, #1 internet singles talk network. And Vesta, would you like to tell everybody where they can reach you at, please?
Yes. So my website is Vesta Talks. Pretty easy to remember. So www.vestatalks.com. And on that site, you can find several links. I do host retreats that we mentioned. So I have one coming up in July in upstate New York. So it's a confidence camp. Don't worry, we're not camping. But it's a confidence retreat to find the path, your dream that you want to do, and find the steps to move you forward in that and give you some of that confidence. I'll share some of mine with you. It's going to be awesome. We're limiting it to like 20 women. So we are going to start posting information. So make sure to check out Vesta Hager, or Vesta Hager is my Facebook page as well. I have a Facebook page, League of Leading Ladies, where I'm really pioneering women to show up. And then Instagram is Vesta Hager as well. So there'll be information posting in those places, but also on the website. And if you have anything that you heard today and you're like, I really want to chat with her, you can reach out. I love DMs. So go to Facebook and just DM me, or Instagram, and I will be able to get that information to you and start to see if it's something that you want to work on together. I'm so grateful for you having me here today. And I just want to continue one woman at a time, brighten your light so we can follow the path that you're leading us on, and more people can find you and follow their passions as well. You just need to be a little bit ahead of the people that you want to help, and just shining brighter is better for everyone. There's plenty of room for everyone to be living their best life.
I agree. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I see you. I love you. I honor you. And just reach out to us. We love you. Thank you. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye for now.